Most people don't have an income problem. They have a money flow problem. They make money, then it disappears. Bills, taxes, debt, lifestyle, poor decisions, operate. So the real question is, where did my money go? And that's why I built the Money for Life operating system. So it's a simple framework. So, hey, this is Curtis May. Welcome back to the Practical Wealth Show. And so we're going to have a short call to kind of pull some of this stuff together. And we're going to talk about kind of the framework. And so the genesis of this formed from a mentor of mine, Jeffrey Reeves, who had a book called Money for Life, How to Thrive in Good Times is Bad. So I've nicknamed this the Money for Life operating system. Cash flow, control cash flow. So it's the four parts of our blueprint: control cash flow, the private reserve, or be the bank, how to be the bank, right? So building private capital. Why would you do that? Because your goal should be to create financial freedom. So here is our simple framework. So this is actually step 2 in our system. So, or if you don't have free cash flow, that is step 1. And but we're going to go through the whole thing. So today I'm going to go through our framework, and I'm going to put a little picture up. Hopefully you can see that. If you're listening, follow along and go back and find it on the YouTube. But what we're going to do is the framework of how you want to think about your money is you want to earn it, bank it, borrow it, spend it, repay it, and then own it. Okay. So earn it is obvious. All right. So let's talk about that. So I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because it seems obvious, but earn it. See, guys, you have to create cash flow. Wealth starts with production. Okay. So if you're not productive, if you don't make any money, I always tell people Curtis can't steer a parked car. So don't come to me and say, well, I want to learn how to make more money. That's not the business that I'm in. I mean, I can give you some thoughts because I was talking to a client this morning. I said, listen, where does wealth come from? No, where does income come from? No clue. Well, I get a raise, I get overtime, no, guys, money's a result. So I'm going to go here on this call, right? Money's a result. What is it a result of? As Walter Williams would say, pleasing your fellow man, serving. And you have to be, so if you really think and grow rich, right, you have to have specialized knowledge, and then you need to solve problems. Myron Golden says you need to hyper focus on other people's problems, and you want to be able to create an elegant solution for them, and then they'll exchange their money for your solution. That's where money comes from. So if you're not making as much as you would like on this earn it section, then so if you're employed, you got to ask yourself, well, what am I doing every day to improve my skills? Because money is a result, your income is a direct result to the value that you bring to the marketplace. So if your income is stuck, you've got to learn, you've got to improve your skills so you can create more value to the marketplace. So I'm not saying you're not valuable as a human being, a father, a person, but to the marketplace, not, you're creating skills. So you have to be able to do that, right? So now, if you're listening to me and you're in business, we have something we started locally called the Small Business Profit Lab. But I've learned this from studying, really where I first heard it was studying Jay Abraham. Okay. And so when you look at your business, there's 3 ways, really, I'll say, to grow revenue. I've adapted them a bit, but you want to increase sales, right? So step 1 is actually it's because it's levels to this, right? So you can increase your lead generation. 1, increase your conversions. How many of them asked to do business with you, which means you got to improve your certain aspects of your offer. You've got to, our last talk was why, do you have a unique selling proposition? Why should they choose you versus anybody else? If you got to be able to answer that, you can't. I may do a whole webinar on or episode on that as part of our small business and operating stuff, which is my other favorite topic. You can increase, so you can increase the lead generation, increase your conversions, increase your margins, which is your raise your prices. Okay, increase the what's the word? Increase the frequency of how often people buy from you. Okay. One of the things that we teach is you want to recycle and recapture. So, stop giving money away. Most of y'all have leaky buckets. And then there's a fourth way is adding continuity to your offer. Can you create membership? So that's how you create cash flow. So that's a longer discussion, but that, to me, if you're in business, that is your business is your number one investment by far, right? So you got to make more money. Step two is, right, bank it. Means now once you got the money coming in, you got to get control of your capital. Don't just spend it. So in my mind, bank it means 10 to 30% of your revenue, at least 10, you've got to save it. Okay. And what we teach is you want to change where that money goes first. So that should go into your properly structured dividend paying whole life policy. So let's say if you were saving 15, I'd want 10 or 12 of it running through whole life, and I'd put the other 5 in a high yield savings account, because I believe you need ATM money. Okay. And but you have to build liquidity. See, people will skip control and saving, and they want to go right to investing. And in my opinion, that's the wrong order, because if you don't have 3 to 6 months of liquidity, I personally don't believe in anything outside of your business. You shouldn't be investing. You definitely shouldn't be sending it to the market. Okay. Not yet. I mean, I'm not saying not do that, but there's an order to this, right? And so you want to build liquidity first, right? That's what we call the private reserve wealth coordination. So, we teach save first, protect your liquidity, build opportunity capital. So you need money for emergencies and, more importantly, from opportunities, but you need to keep under control. So your first goal is, how much control do you have over your capital? 3, borrow it, right? So strategically, what are you borrowing against? You're using your policy as collateral. You're taking so you're building up, when we call saving your cash value build up, we call that building a collateral, money that's available that you can collateralize, right? So you leverage strategically, right? That's not always bad. Bad debt destroys, strategic debt multiplies. Okay. And so this is controlled leverage. So what does that mean? You want to use financing intentionally. You want to use capital without draining your cash reserves. You want to leverage your capital through policy loans. You can recapture debt with policy loans and repay yourself. The key is other people's money. So the question you should ask yourself, how do I use money without losing control? Okay. Because what that creates is capital efficiency. Okay. Step 4 is, so if you're following along on a chart, earn it, bank it, borrow it, right? Spend it. Spend it means deploy capital. So most people spend money. What we're talking about is deploying money. That's a big difference, right? Capital should buy, 1, cash flow engines or assets. Income follows assets, as Daniel Priestley would say. And and Kiyosaki, if you want to become financially independent, you have to have assets that send you cash flow equal to or greater than your expenses. But you have to focus on that, because, see, typical advice is helping you investing for capital gains, not for cash flow. And to invest for cash flow takes a little bit more knowledge. You need access to money. You got to find stuff. You got to be financially literate, so you can, my goal, I tell people all the time, is I'm defensive coordinator. I just want you to save money, so when you see an opportunity, you got money so that you can deploy it. Okay. And so we call assets cash flow engines, but they're out under that. What are the capital that you should buy? So I break capital down And if you check out, I always give you the source material, right? The Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. And what's the other one? Why the Rich Get Richer. It's another one. I'm going blank as I record this. But the third book is the biggest one. That's my favorite, actually. And so, what's a cash flow engine? So, what are the 4 asset classes that you can deploy? Now, it's lots of different tactics, but there's really 4 classes, right? There's business. There's, so rental income, notes, land. I know people that flip land. Uh, there's apartment buildings. There's what are those things called? Turnkey properties. I mean, there's tons of ways to do real estate. Apartment buildings. What are my friends? Smart Real Estate Coach, where you're buying on terms. You've got to pick a horse and ride it. Pick something that you like, that you're willing to go in and understand, and then you go in on it and do it, right? So there's business, real estate, paper, stocks, notes, royalties, private lending, tax liens, right? Commodities, gold, silver. I don't view them as investments. I view them more as insurance against the dollar. Oil and gas. Okay. And so here is the line, real simple, from Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a book about accounting, not investing. And you got to know the difference between assets and liabilities. So what's an asset? Something that puts money in your pocket without your labor. And what's a liability? Something that takes money out of your pocket. So know the difference. All right. Where should your capital go to work? Right. Wealth building. After you've restructured bad debt and you clean up your balance sheet, then you want to put it towards making money. And then the fifth principle, and this is the people that people forget. So in Nelson's book, Nelson says, don't steal the peas, right? And so it's earn it, bank it, borrow it, spend it on what? Major capital purchases, anything you can't pay for in full within monthly cash flow, or opportunities to make money. Okay. And that is with interest. So we repay it with interest. So if you were to borrow against your pool of capital, and let's say you get money from the insurance company at 4 or 5%, then if you were to go to a hard money lender or something, and then retail, you would pay 8 or 9, 10% back, then that's what you create your payback plan based on those numbers, right? And so you bring that money back, that's reusable capital. And then our sixth is own it, right? Build freedom. Now the end goal isn't just cash, it's ownership. You want to own assets, you want to own businesses, you want to own income stream, you want to own systems, which allows you to own your time and build legacy. That's true wealth. So the question, what does financial independence really look like? Freedom. All right. So now I want to close the loop for you. If you're looking at the visual, it's a loop: earn, bank, borrow, spend, repay, own, and repeat. So we call it the money for life wealth loop. That's our operating system. So the goal is not to work harder. The goal is to create a system. We all fall to the level of systems. I heard Dan Kennedy say all wealth is a result of systems. And, when people will talk about infinite banking, and they'll talk about, I want this policy and what's the dividend rate and blah. None of that stuff means anything. Okay. It doesn't mean as much as you think it is, because it's what is your behavior around money, right? So because it's earn it, bank it, borrow it, spend it. And as I've been doing this the last 10 years, you know what people forget? Repay it. Okay. With interest. And so I'll go through and I'll do, hey, it's not free money. Why am I paying to borrow my own money? Time to reread the book, because you're not borrowing your own money, right? So we go there. So this is your loop. So if you're new to this, I would have you get Nelson Nash's Become Your Own Banker. I would look, it'd be hard to find I think a physical copy of Money for Life, but if you go to Kindle, it's about $10, and it's older. So some of the examples are older, but it's a solid book, and it is actually one of the things that helped me. And him and Nelson were contemporaries, but it really helped me understand it. So the earn it, bank it, borrow it, spend it, repay it is kind of how I teach it because that's what helped me understand it, because I think in pictures, right? So even this operating system came from a doodle in one of my journals, and I took a picture of it, and it from that we just kept refining it. So this came from, out of my head. Right? So here's the thing. So if you're listening to this, you're wondering, where did my money go? Where did I make 100,000? I make 200,000. I did with somebody recently that made over $1 million. And the same question, where I don't know where my money's going. Usually it's taxes and debt. Those are the two biggest things, right? Where are my leaks? Where are you leaking? Is it taxes? Is it cash flow control? Is it undercharging? If you know how to read your P&L, or if you build a cash flow map, then some of that's inherent in structure. So you've got to, because to see the numbers tell a story. And most people don't know the story that the numbers are telling them. And you've got to be familiar with the story. So we say, tell your money where to go. Ask where it went. Don't tell it where to go, right? And give each job $1. So what we do here at Practical Wealth is we help people find money that they are losing unknowingly, which means it can be stopped, and unnecessarily. Well, see, once you discover it, you can either reduce or eliminate. We call these wealth transfers. And then why do we do that? So that you can create more control. Do you want that? More liquidity. That means more money that you can touch, not behind walls. More cash flow. You see, you can't eat equity, guys. You need cash flow. You want to go on vacation and take the summer off. That's a cash flow thing. That's, people are worrying about what I call statement wealth. You need liquidity and cash flow so you can live your best life. And then more freedom to do. And see, guys, there's two types of freedom. This is from Dan Sullivan, strategic coach. Just freedom from, for example, having to work for somebody else. But if you are self-employed, which means you own a job, now you're working for a lunatic, as Michael Gerber would say, right? But there's freedom too, right? So we have to get on the other side of money. And how do we get freedom too? I call that being, excuse the language, getting to a position of what I call FU, right? You can do what you want, when you want, and that's the goal. All right. So if that was interesting to you, let me know. Let me know in the comments, stuff like this you want to hear. Even if you disagree with me, God help you. No, just kidding. You should leave us in the comments. Share this with somebody that needs to hear it. And then if you'd like to have a conversation, go to the links in the show notes, or go to practicalwealth.net, our website. And if you're not ready to talk to anybody, just on the first page, take our financial freedom assessment. It'll take you about 3-4 minutes and see where you stand. And then if you'd like to have a conversation, you can just click a strategy session, or if you really want to give us your numbers and do a deep dive, because the strategy session is about, or a clarity call is about 15-20 minutes, so we can get to know each other. And then a financial freedom session where we'll send you a financial questionnaire and do your financial GPS. Then that's about 45 minutes, and we'll see where you are, and then we'll talk about the appropriate next steps. So if any of that intrigues you, I hope you learned something today, and go out there, make it a profitable day, right? Go out there and make something happen, earn it, bank it, borrow it, spend it, repay it, own it, repeat.